Does this sound familiar to you? You've spent the last 30 minutes coming up with the perfect name for your League Start character. The last 3 hours desperately trying to get into the queue to save yourself those precious seconds. The last 3 weeks searching all corners of Reddit for the perfect, unkillable build. You picture seeing your name in lights, or at least getting to Act 3 before Titan Killer enters his first map. You're logging in, you're pumped. The first zombie dies even before your sword hits him. Scared to death, probably. You feel unstoppable, unbeatable, immortal. And then, well, yeah, that's Rayclass for you. A harsh, unforgiving place. So, how the hell do you survive it? Well, that's what I'm gonna try to help you with today. I've got some tips and tricks for you to help you get through the campaign deathlessly, while still going at a fast pace. The best racers don't rely on luck. They make their own luck. They make sure they get all the key items they need, consistently, regardless of what drops for them. And vendors are the way to do that, even these days after they were buffed. A recent trend among speedrunners is to mule. Mule always, on every class, no matter what, especially on hardcore. But why? There's 4 reasons. You get 3 free wisdoms, you get 3 free flasks, you get free gems that your main class might not even have access to, and you get an additional vendor check. I highly recommend that you use the rejects for vendor checks. The wisdoms and the additional vendor checks allow you to have a coral ring for mudflats just about every run. If on top of that you equip a body armor for that zone, which even the greediest racers do these days, your odds of survival skyrocket. If you feel particularly unsafe, you can get a leather belt or even a sapphire ring for Merveille. I personally think that the best defense is a good offense. So, for nearly all of my attack characters, I try to get 2 iron rings and a rustic sash as soon as possible. It's the best way to spend your wisdoms in Act 1 after you've already bought your gems and the 3 links that you need. Those iron rings can then be repurposed into ruby rings just before you enter Vol Ruins in Act 2. I highly recommend always having 2 rubies for that wretched zone. What I do is keep 2 useless red gems on the far right side of my inventory, and just to turn them into rubies right before Vol Ruins. As a caster, I try to get my wands with flat damage to spells as soon as possible, ideally before even entering the coast. They're well worth the wisdoms you spend on them, as they make a huge difference in the first half of Act 1. Monsters can't kill you if they're already dead, right? After killing Piety in Crematorium is the perfect time to check you've got all your defensive and utility items. And if you nail your vendor walk, you can do it without wasting any time. I recommend you check if you already have a leather belt at that point or a rustic sash. If you have 2 resistance rings, make sure that one of your resistances isn't overcapped while the others are low. Make sure at that point to also have a decent life flask and a decent mana flask. Staying on top of your life flask upgrades really helps you stay alive. Defensive mastercrafts are simple during the campaign. For alterations, you can craft life on any items with an open prefix. For transmutations, you can craft resistances on any item with an open suffix. In case you didn't know, you can actually mastercraft on normal, white items. To save time, check ahead of time which of your items have empty suffixes or prefixes and which of your resistances are lowest. If you're low on alts or transmutes, pick up small rare items and vendor them. Stacks of transmutes or alts start dropping regularly from Act 5, so it's worth having a text-to-speech on your filter for those. After killing Piety in Act 4, make sure to grab the crafting recipe for the next tier of resistances. Those cost an alchemy, so I would only use them on items with good stats that you'll likely use for a long time. Once you get to the beacon in Act 6, you can unlock the next tier of Vivecraft. While a little pricey, I find them well worth it, especially for Acts 9 and 10, as you get stunned much less with, say, 1800 life compared to 1600. Oh, and if you want to look like a real speedrunner, make sure to put the crafting bench right on top of your waypoint in your hideout. If you're still struggling with capping resistances, or you're too greedy to help Alira, consider grabbing some efficient resistances on the tree. Once you get more rest on your gear, you can just respec those. With elemental mitigation sorted, all that's left is the physical one. Chaos is not too important during the campaign. Granite Flask that you can get always in Act 5 is your best friend. When you have some spare alts or augments, roll it so that you get a decent prefix on it. Just stay away from those 48% less duration suffixes. Another big one is Determination. It's very popular amongst the speedrunners for a reason. It makes a huge difference. I'm personally way too greedy to use it in speedruns, but I get punished for this dumb choice all the time. So, you know, do as I say, not as I do. A bit of armor on gear also goes a long way, especially on a body armor. But if you're a caster, it's tough to manage that with all the blue sockets that you need. These days, lots of characters use leap slam, so an easy way to get endurance charges is to link it with endurance charge on melee stun. It's perfect if you happen to have a green red with either faster attacks or momentum. If you're near the Marauder area on the tree, it's definitely worth picking up Soul of Steel. That bit of armor goes a long way in the campaign. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'll do my best to answer. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. See ya.